For more on Biden's announcement and what the election will mean for markets and the economy, let's turn to Brian Gardner. He's Stifel's chief Washington policy strategist. He's also co-host of the Potomac Perspective podcast. I didn't know that, Brian. Now I'm going to have another one to try to listen to on the car ride. 1.3x, by the way. So, makes everyone sound a little Mickey Mouse. But what do you think, if I had to put 1.3x, spin this forward, Biden's president again, what would he try to do? I mean, talk to us a little bit about what the implications are here.
Yeah, so I think Robert hit the big themes on the tax side. I think it's a continuation of what we've seen in the first term, and I think that was kind of the message that was played out this morning in the announcement and his speech to the labor union. So it's a lot of unfinished business. What did not get passed in the Build Back Better bill that became the Inflation Reduction Act? It's kind of returning to this tax theme of increasing taxes on the wealthy. It's a play on the populism that it kind of has engulfed the country, both sides, one side trying to do a different theme of populism. So higher corporate taxes, higher personal income tax rates. Robert didn't mention increasing the basic top rate for income above $400,000. But I think that would be back in a Biden second term as well.
Running on raising taxes is rarely a recipe for success in my long experience of watching things. How would you grade the president's legislative accomplishments so far, and why, if they are accomplishments, is that message not getting across?
So grading is tough because I didn't like being on the other side of that when I was a student and wasn't particularly good at it either from the student side. But now that I get to play teacher for a second, I give it a B plus just on political execution. Came into the term with very narrow majorities in the House and the Senate. There was a lot of skepticism of what he could or could not get through, more skepticism that he couldn't get through much of his package. And he did pull off some impressive legislative wins despite all that. Now, there's a lot that he didn't get through. The tax portion, that's why we're still talking about it, because Democrats in those first 2 years of the Biden administration, when they controlled Congress, did not pass the tax package. I think they are going to go back and try it again. Look, he ran on it the first time. And while, Tyler, I agree with you that raising taxes is not a great political strategy, we live in very interesting times, to say the least. The politics of the era are much more complicated than they used to be. I think Republican voters, don't care about on taxes on the wealthy as much as they used to. Suburban voters have kind of drifted over towards the Democratic Party. And if it's a rematch of 2020, Trump versus Biden, I think Biden has a little bit more runway to go on taxes, with a caveat, let's see what the economy is doing. But I think that the main theme of that race is, do you want to go back to the chaos of the Trump years or just stick with the steady hand? And I think the tax issue probably takes a back seat to all of that.